That's the wrong one. There we go, that's better. Hello, welcome. Give me just a second. Alpha Mimic's like strong enough to be able to pick up that cola pouring. God, I'm having an aneurysm. Whatever, okay. Boom. I got some cola. We're gonna fry and play some more of Juliet's throat because I thought I'd be able to knock out every love interest's like route outline for Under the Eclipse in like an hour or two, but I just spent an hour and a half outlining Deacons, and I've only got 4% Deacons outlined so far. So I'll try to my best to find the time and the motivation to be able to. That's better. I'll try my best to find like the motivation and the time to knock out everyone else's routes, and then I will. Then we'll get right back to the dev streams. Enough of it,
Ooh, I needed that break. Back to it.
Alright, back to Juliet's route. Another time-wasting section. The feature on Cuba Street swapped out its sun-faded posters, which catch my eye as I walk past. I'm not in the mood for a movie right now, but I give the fresh posters a once-over out of curiosity. Hold on, the posters are really familiar. The posters are really similar. With only a couple of exceptions, each features a crowd of characters with one more prominently at the front, making a weird face, like they're about to sneeze or they smell something weird. How is anyone supposed to know what the movie is based on that? I really don't get it. The confusion eats at me, so I find myself. Excuse me. The confusion eats at me, so I find myself sneaking into the future anyway. Oh, that's great. I love that. It's Baby Squad again. Partly we've already read from all the Baby Squad scenes, I think. Skip doesn't seem to be working, so apparently we haven't read this yet. The first guests of the day are the school kids from last Friday. They enter one at a time, not struggling with the door. This time, the girl I talked to before, Shello, comes over to the desk.
Good morning, Ms. Miho.
Am I sure I haven't done this? What button's usually the skip button? Apparently not. Oh.
Morning! How'd your project go? We're still working on it.
Some of us are. Some of us just want to wander around.
It's not wandering if you have a destination.
Around isn't a destination.
It reminded me of Lena and Aspen. Shello sighs and rubs her face. You must have to put up with this a lot.
Well, that's why I wanted to come ask for Ms. Miho's advice again.
Again?
Yeah, have you met her before?
What? She helped us just a couple days ago.
How does Shello keep remembering Miho? I don't think it's ever explained. Peppa and Armin look at each other puzzled. Even with her back to me, I can tell Shello is too. It only takes me a moment to realize what's happened. I've gotten so used to my friends remembering me that I didn't even think how weird it was for Shello to remember too. I'm sure we haven't seen each other since last time she was here, but she hasn't forgotten about me. I couldn't even begin to guess why, yet somehow, as strange as it is, it just feels like another part of a bigger mystery, instead of a life-changing event, another question that I can't answer. I'd love to know why, but I could spend all day guessing and still not figure it out. I'm sure she wouldn't be able to tell me either. As weird as it is, there's no use in dwelling on it right now. When Shello turns back towards me, confusion on her face, I just shrug and smile.
It's fine. It's just a thing that happens.
The young mermaid doesn't look totally convinced, but she nods all the same.
Alright, if you say so. Actually, if it's fine with you, I had another question to ask. Ask away! last time you told me about your favorite place. Are there any?
Shit. So it's back at her friends who are both distracted by some of the library's decorations.
We're having trouble settling on a topic.
Before I can answer, Armin flaps his wings excitedly, blowing a couple nearby books open.
What if we did our project on this library?
There are libraries everywhere, even Amarina. What's so special about this one?
There are coffee shops in Amarina too, but you still wanted to go to one. Besides, just look around. This isn't a normal library.
Oh shit, in Aspen Sprouts, the baby squad do one on the Bell House, and in Juliet's route they do a project on the library. That's adorable. But I'm still not sure what Armin's supposed to be. I know Shallow's a mermaid and Pippa is, I think, the rabbit. I don't know what Armin's supposed to be.
Right, Miss Miho?
That's true, I guess.
I haven't been to many other libraries, but I'm pretty sure they don't usually double as houses like this. Like this one does for me and Juliet.
Plus, we wouldn't have to walk around so much. What do you think, Cello?
I do like it here, but only if it's okay with you, Pippa. And with Miss Miho.
Pippa rolls her eyes, but shrugs.
Whatever, as long as we get it done.
All three of them turn to look at me, their expressions varying degrees of hopeful. How can I say no to that? They are very adorable. Try to think of how Juliet would respond.
It's okay. As long as you don't bother anyone or break anything.
We won't!
You're already going to bother someone if you keep yelling like that.
Oops.
Thank you so much. We'll be extra super careful. No prob.
The of them set off to explore the library, browsing the shelves and peeking into some of the display cases. Keep working on my daily tasks, but keep one eye on the kids while I do. True to their word though, they're mostly quiet and not too rowdy, so they don't cause any problems. Sometimes they sit down at one of the tables to write, then get up to look around some more. They've been here for a little over an hour when Juliet comes downstairs and joins me at the front desk. I hop out of my seat, pleasantly surprised.
Hey! I thought you were asleep. Not that I'm not glad to see you.
Oh yeah, I forgot these two are dating now. Yeah, I remember. Okay, it's all coming back to me now. I'm using all 5 of my brain cells. Which, yes, I know, for a whole 5 brain cells, hold your applause. I know I'm basically Einstein, but my whole 5 brain cells are rubbing together. I remember. Fucking searching for my main palace, I found it. What was it? We went on a walk on the beach last episode. And it was casual. I heard from me who casually asks her out. Yeah, it's all coming back to me.
I should be, but I wasn't able to fall asleep. After tossing and turning for an hour, I thought I'd come and visit you instead. How's the library today?
Fine, same as always, pretty much. Those kids I told you about the other day are back. They asked if they could do their project on the library, and I said that was fine as long as they didn't cause any trouble.
I point to the table where the 3 students are sitting close together, talking quietly amongst themselves.
Oh, how lovely. I hope they're able to find what they're looking for here.
Me too. Something really weird happened too. 2 of them, Armand and Pippa, forgot me like usual.
Oh, maybe we'll actually get like an explanation in this round. And Aspen's, they just kind of, they're like, yeah, that's weird, and they move on.
But the mermaid Cello was able to remember my name from last time.
Really? That is quite strange. You haven't noticed or felt anything different?
Nope. I decided not to think about it too much. Otherwise, I'll just drive myself crazy.
A sound decision. Still, it's something worth keeping in mind.
Baby Squad is back. I nod. Just then, Armin and Cello both stand up and start heading over to the desk, while Pippa stays at the table.
Ms. Miho? Oh, and...
My name is Juliet. You must be Cello and Armand, right?
Does everyone here know our names? Don't tell me we forgot her too.
Oh, no, nothing like that. I simply heard from Miho.
Juliet's the one who owns the library. I think I mentioned her last time.
Oh, that's perfect. You see, we wanted to ask.
She blushes, looking a little embarrassed. Armand steps forward bravely.
Do you think you could show us around? I can tell this isn't an ordinary library, but I want to know more about it.
Sorry to ask for such a big favor, especially since you're already letting us work here.
It would be my pleasure. Miho?
Yeah, I don't mind. Juliet's a real expert, though.
Really? Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks.
Shh.
Across the library, Pippa loudly shushes Armand. This time he doesn't acknowledge her.
Where should we begin?
Our project is supposed to be on a special place in Wellington, so whatever makes this library special.
We can begin with the books then. I've been collecting them for quite a while.
The four of us head to the shelves, where Juliet points out a few older books.
These are several first-hand accounts of life here in New Zealand, or Wellington in particular. Some are written by the indigenous people, the Maori, while others are by people who came later. It's important to read history from a variety of sources, and I've done my best to offer just that.
I love learning about the past. I can even tell you about the future too sometimes.
I quite agree. Every person from all walks of life have a perspective all their own. I've been privileged to learn so many of them.
What are these in the glass cases?
Gifts and treasures bequeathed to me over the years.
Bequeath. Bequeath.
I felt there's no sense in keeping them hidden away where only I can see them, so instead, I leave them here for all to witness and enjoy.
I gaze into some of the displays as we pass by them. Been at the library for so long that I've stopped really noticing some of its features, like the treasure she mentioned. Statues, jewellery, dolls. There are all kinds of things that I'd forgot about. Juliet recounts stories of some of them, about sailors and merchants who gave her things in exchange for food or shelter, or just for company. Both the kids and I listen with rapt attention, while Juliet gazes off into the distance as she remembers the past. We eventually reach the end of the shelves, where Armand notices Cosette's painting on the wall. He turns over to it, with Cello trailing behind.
Who's this?
My daughter, Cosette.
She's so pretty.
Wait, shit, isn't that the painting that Miho tries to steal in, like, the beginning of the story? Juliet's a real fucking saint, Jesus Christ. She had every right to try and murder her on the spot. Juliet smiles thinly. I glance anxiously between her and the students, wondering if I should try to move us along, but Juliet clears her throat.
Cosette is actually the reason this library exists.
Really?
Even if I look at Juliet in surprise, I don't think I've heard that before.
Yes. She also loved to collect books, to the point where we could hardly fit them all on our shelves. She suggested that we allow others to borrow them too, in order to share the stories that we loved so much.
Oh, whoa. Oh, if I had enough books to open my own library, I'd never have to go anywhere again. I could just stay home and read all day.
What a fucking nerd. The SM man.
What about the theater, or museums, or school?
I'd still go to places for fun sometimes, but who needs school when you've got so many books?
They both laugh and we move on to the back part of the library, away from the shelves. Juliet shows them to the kitchen and dining room, as well as what it's like behind the front desk. As I paint as a picture of Juliet again. Eventually reach the bottom of the stairs.
What's up there? Can we go see?
That's where bedrooms are. And Juliet's office.
Oh, can we go see?
Armand, that sounds like a private area.
There are some parts you can visit. I have a feeling you might enjoy seeing my study.
Really? Well, let's go!
Juliet leads the way, and we all follow her into the study.
Whoa!
Yeah. Whoa. It's like a whole other library.
Just like I was, they're in shock about how many more books there are crammed into here. Something rustles in the corner. Cello yelps in fear as she does one of the bats hanging from the ceiling. Cello yelps in fear as she sees one of the bats hanging from the ceiling. It rubs its face with its wing like it just woke up, which he probably did.
What is... Ah!
Takes a moment for Armand to spot the bat as well.
Oops! I'm sorry, Orpheus. I should have seen if anyone was sleeping.
The bat flaps its wings in what seems to be an indignant way, glaring at Juliet.
Wait, it has a name?
The bats are Juliet's friends. They sleep in here a lot of the time.
Oh, I'm sorry for yelling.
Despite that, Cello keeps a good distance from the corner where Orpheus is.
It's quite alright. I'm sure he'll be back to sleep in no time. This is my study, where I keep a variety of records and other books that are less interesting to most patrons. However, I suspect you may find some of them useful for your project.
Armand and Cello browse around, although they both shoot nervous glances at the bat every so often. Orpheus closes his eyes and either goes back to sleep or at least pretends to.
You're right. Some of these look really old.
And handmade.
You're both correct. Many of these volumes were handwritten, or not widely distributed.
So not many people have read them, right? Oh, that would be perfect for our project.
I am not sure these are available to borrow like the others, Armand.
Oh, right.
His wings and tail both droop. I feel like I know what Juliet's going to say before she says it. Wait, he's got a tail? Holy shit, he does have a tail. What is Armand? What is he? It's taking me a second, I don't know what... Hold on, I'm gonna see if I can look it up. This game's obscure enough, I don't think I'll find it, but I want to know. Let's see. Apparently he's a lion. Our questions have been answered. Apparently he is a lion. I don't know why he's going, so.
Generally not. But if you promise to be very careful, I wouldn't mind letting you take a few with you. So long as you return them when you're done.
Really? Well, we can definitely do that, right, Cello?
Yes! As long as it's really okay.
It really is.
Thank you so much!
The two of them look around with even more enthusiasm, to the point where they even get a bit closer to Orpheus. Not too close though. Juliet and I lean against the wall and watch.
Is this the first time you've let people borrow the books from in here?
The first time in a while, at least. I don't see a reason to deny them, though. It's nice to see how excited they are by the prospect.
That's true.
After a few minutes, Armand and Cello approach us with a small stack of books each.
Are these okay for us to take?
Juliet glances over all of them before she nods.
Yes, that's fine.
Thank you.
Yes, thanks again!
Come on, let's go show Pippa. Even she'll have to be impressed by these.
Waving goodbye to us, the kids hurry off downstairs, being careful not to drop or damage the books they're carrying. Juliet and I stay behind, near the hallway to Juliet's room.
That was fun. I learned a lot too.
I'm glad. It was nice to have a reason to indulge in those memories for a while.
You never told me you started the library because of Cosette.
I didn't? My. I suppose it never came up.
I lean against Juliet and she wraps her arm around me. I should get back to work soon, and I know Juliet needs to get some sleep. But I'm glad to have this extra moment together. There's plenty I still don't know about Juliet, but I'm looking forward to learning it. Adorable. Keep it straight again. It's a lot hot today, so I sit in the shade of a shop's awning and enjoy the small bit of air conditioning that floats out of the front door every time a customer passes through. It makes me think about how funny humans are, so determined to stay in one place that they'll build entire machines to blow hot, cold air. So determined to stay in one place, they'll build entire machines to blow hot or cold air if the weather isn't to their liking. And nature, you either adapt or move on. As a fox, I love the heat. Hot weather means lots of fruit and bugs to snack on, and laying out in the brambles and letting my fur get all nice and warm. But in this form, well, it's a little less efficient, and I can't really pant the same way I can't really pant the same way I can as a fox. Or rather, I can, but people would stare at me funny. Come to think of it, why am I even here? I'm gonna run around as a fox for a while. Let's go, Miho's thriving. After Julia and I say goodbyes for the night, I go up into my room and go to bed. But after tossing and turning for a while, I get up and put my shoes back on. I say to Juliet, there's someone else I've been thinking about thinking about a lot lately. My last encounter with Silver didn't go so well, but it hasn't made me any less determined to talk to her. It's not just because of my magic and what she might be able to tell me about it, it's because I also want to help her. I know that I can't tell her that outright, but every passing day that I spend with Juliet or with Aspen makes me more confident in my decision to stay around Wellington. Well, I don't expect things to go exactly the same way for Silver as they did for me. I hope that maybe someday she'll want to change too. Since I'm still not ready to tell Juliet about Silver, I have to be extra quiet as I leave my room and go outside. Have I already read this scene? I have. Let's see. Runs away. She hurt her leg. Yeah, this is her Silver's backstory. Ah, crap. Keep going.
You could try that too, you know. I could even I haven't told them about you yet. Not all people are bad.
Let's go stare. Blah. She demands a different name. And then she runs away because she's too cool and edgy for us. Alright, for this scene too, I have... Our beat's growing slightly more. Blah blah. Talking about becoming a sky fox.
Trust your eyes and your heart.
Right. Besides, who knows? I've seen... I'll... If I do that, would it mean...
Talking about the magic. Time for Tommy's bit. We've already seen Tommy's bit. Vibing with Tommy. Here we go, here's some new stuff. Think so, anyway? Yeah, this is new stuff, I can't skip it. Hurriedly, I reach up and remove my necklace, letting it dangle from my palm. My bead stands out from the other regular ones on the chain, since it still glows ever so slightly. It's a part of me, not something separate that came to me. It came from within me. And while I've never questioned that, never thought about what it might mean, it has to mean something. Would I even exist without it? Probably not. Not like I am now. I would have died as a regular fox many, many years ago. Curling my fingers around the bead, I can feel my heartbeat, it pulses in the beats too. I close my eyes and try to clear my thoughts of everything except the feeling of the tiny orb in my hands. I focus on it, letting myself feel it in the same way I'd feel a pillow against my head or grass beneath my feet. Slowly pictures come to mind. Visions of the sky and the sea and the forest. Visions of people passing by, although their faces are just a blur. No, not visions, memories. My memories and experiences lived on in this beat somehow. The same way they've lived on in my heart and mind. It's been changed and strengthened as a result of what I've been through, the same as any muscle. Magic courses through me, as basic as my breath and blood. I know then and there that I can't get rid of it. Even if there's a way, I don't want it. Like any other part of my body, I have to learn to live with it and nurture it. I don't want to be forgotten, but I don't want to lose this part of myself either. I can feel it. It's needy. Neither of us are really ready. Or none of us are really ready yet. There's still a craving that I can't identify. What is it that I'm missing? What do I still need to give it? There are other things too that make it even more confusing, like how Cello could remember me. Is there something special about her, or has something about me changed? Time and again these past few months, I found that answers I've known all along rest inside me. Feelings that I thought I was incapable of coming Feelings that I thought I was incapable of come naturally. Why would this be any different? It's a puzzle, but puzzles have solutions. I don't know what the answer is, and I barely even know the question. But I can feel that something about myself is going to change it. How and when, I don't know. It's just an instinct. Same as many other things. Uncurling my fingers, the pulsing of my heart gets less noticeable. I open my eyes to see my beat looking just the same. I'd been half hoping that it would be different already, but it's not that easy. Put my necklace back on and climb into bed, burying myself underneath my blankets. Even under the covers in the dark, the light of my bead shines through faintly like a nightlight. New baby scenes, let's go, the baby squad's here! Just like a couple days ago, some of the first patrons to arrive from the library on Friday morning are Cello and her friends. This time it's Pippa who holds the door open for the other two, who enters with their arms full of books.
Hey, you guys! Good morning, Ms. Miho.
I stopped by for a bit yesterday as well, so all three of them should still remember who I am. All three of them come to my desk where Cello and Armand carefully set down the stack they're carrying. Juliet, who hasn't gone to bed yet, emerges from the shelves where she was putting away some books and approaches us as well.
Miss Juliet! We brought back all the stuff that we borrowed.
Thank you. I can see you took great care of them. Were you able to complete your project?
We did. Pippa and I took lots of notes, and Armand stayed up all night writing a script. We decided to put together a play about the history of Wellington, using the library as the main location.
Aww.
Armand and I will be the actors, and Pippa's going to make the decorations.
I said we should do an art project, but our mom didn't want to.
You just didn't want to have to read.
The two of them glare at each other and Cello rolls her eyes at both of them. I feel a little bad for her, even though I know they're all friends when it counts.
That sounds like a lot of fun. I'm glad you were able to find something interesting.
Yeah, there was so much to read, I almost forgot to sleep. I wish we could stay longer. If we ever come back, could we borrow some more books?
Of course. Books are for reading, after all.
Armand flaps his wings in excitement, like he's already planning a return trip.
I miss my own bed. I'm glad we're going home soon. No offense.
I miss home as well, but I'll miss it here too.
You'll just have to come visit again sometime, like Armand said.
I'd like that very much. I'm a little nervous about participating in a play, but maybe it won't be so bad.
Well, acting's easy. You've just gotta have fun with it.
Right.
Have you done much acting before, Armand?
Just a little bit.
Was a theater kid.
I like watching people perform in plays, though. But this is my first time writing one.
I enjoy it as well. I've had the good fortune to know several playwrights myself, and now I know one more.
Oh, I'm impressed at the praise. I've never seen a play myself, but I basically know what they are. It's like watching TV in real life.
If our teacher records it, maybe we can send it to you and Miss Miho to watch.
I'm not so sure about that idea.
Aw, why not? You're gonna do great. We can rehearse on the way home to get some extra practice.
How are you going to rehearse when you're sitting on an airship? You won't have a stage or any props.
We could still go over the lines.
Okay. Let's figure that part out later.
Cutting off the argument before it happens, Cello faces Juliet and me again.
Unfortunately, we do have to leave because our class is going to the Skyport soon. But before we go, I had another question for you, Ms. Miho.
Sure. What is it?
Well, would it be okay if I wrote you a letter sometime?
Aww.
A letter? About what?
Just about life in Amarina. And you can tell me about life here. I thought maybe we could be pen pals. If you don't want to, though, that's alright.
Oh, baby. They're so cute. God, I love the baby squad, man.
Oh, I'd like to. I've never had a pen pal before.
I'm not entirely sure what that is either.
Neither have I. But I want to hear more about Wellington and how it's still changing today.
That sounds like fun. Let's do it.
Thank you. I already can't wait.
Oh, maybe you could get extra credit, too.
We'd better not need it after we do this play.
We won't.
Slowly the five of us moved back outside to the front door, to the front of the library, with Armand and Juliet chatting about the books he read. Soon it's time for them to head off.
Thanks again, Miss Miho and Miss Juliet, for showing us the library and letting us borrow stuff.
Yeah, thanks.
It was our pleasure, I'm sure. Right, Miho?
Yeah. I hope you guys get a good grade.
Me too.
It's sad to think that Pippa and Armand will have forgotten. It's sad to think that Armand and Pippa will have forgotten me by the time they get back home. I'm glad they had a good time though. I had a good time though. And it was nice to be able to help out a bit. Even if it was mostly Juliet who helped them.
I appreciate it too. I'll be sure to tell you all about how it goes when I send you that letter.
Sounds good. Bye, you guys.
Goodbye.
And there go the baby squad. All three of them wave as they make their way back down, down the hill. And Juliet and I wave back for as long as we can. Once they're out of sight, we go back inside.
I wonder if Cello will be able to remember me long enough to write a letter.
I hope so. It was nice of you to agree to be her pen pal.
She reminded me a lot of myself. She's new to Amarina too, and still getting used to living there.
In that case, I'm sure she'll appreciate having you to give her advice.
I don't know if I can be very helpful there.
Sometimes, when it comes to young people, just having someone to listen and be interested can be enough.
I can do that at least.
I know you can. You're always capable of more than you think.
I hope you're right.
After gathering up the books and kids brought back, Juliet and I kiss each other goodnight and she goes upstairs while I get ready for my normal day at the library. At some point I hear the sound of an airship passing overhead and wonder if Cello and the others it has Cello and the others on board. Whether or not I do get the letter from her, I'm glad they had a good time. I hope Cello can start to feel more at home in Harmonia as well. One of the most valuable lessons that I've learned from living at the library is that it's important to feel like you belong somewhere. Oh boy, time wasting time. I don't think I've been to the park very often. Let's go over there. The park was empty today. aside from the strange sight of two girls in bright uniforms doing all kind of stretches and jumps. I'm not sure what their uniforms are, but they sure seem to be practicing for something. They pick up pairs of strange, fluffy things, one in each hand, and start doing a routine in sync. Sort of like a dance, but there's no music. Is this some kind of sport I've never seen before? To my surprise, they end the routine with one girl doing a cartwheel and flipping over the back of the other. Even I have to be impressed and nearly clap on reflex, forgetting that I'm just a silent observer. They also seem satisfied with their performance, as they pack up and leave for the day. Now I'm curious. When I'm a fox, jumping around is no problem, but this body is much less capable. Am I able to do a cartwheel too? I don't think I've ever tried before. I picture the practicing girls in my head a few times, trying to trace the nuances of their movements with my mind's eye. It seems simple enough, just get enough forward momentum. Whoosh. Thud. I'm not quite sure what happened, but I found myself flat on the ground rather than elegantly landing on my feet. Whatever, I'm no athlete. I'm just gonna take a nap down here instead. Miho moment. On Saturday morning, I'll wake up around my usual time, but linger in bed for a while. I can hear the distant sounds of Aspen and Juliet having an animated conversation. Aspen laughs and Juliet laughs. I don't know what they're talking about, but I smell it. I just like hearing my girlfriend laugh. Although, after all, I just like hearing my girlfriend laugh after all. No matter what kind of troubles are weighing on my mind. If she's able to laugh despite everything, then that's a win in my book. Aside from a couple hasty meals, it's been a while since the two of them have really gotten to spend much time together. Sometimes it's easy to forget that they've known each other longer than they've known me. Outside, it's shaping up to be another beautiful day. There are clouds, but none of them are rain clouds. The trees and grass sway in gentle breeze beyond my window. I've had more beautiful days here than I can count. Even Wellington weather is worse, isn't so bad from indoors. I open my window, enjoying the morning air as I freshen myself up too. Making my way silently to the kitchen, I pause just out of sight and listen.
I've given it lots of thought.
I have, but I still can't decide. Regina really wants me to take it, of course, but...
But there are good and bad parts of both.
Exactly. I feel like... I'm not sure who to compare it to.
No need to compare. I understand what you mean.
For a long while, I stay where I am unseen. Not because I want to eavesdrop or spy on Aspen and Juliet, but because I don't want to interrupt them. I just want to let them talk. Maybe I'll do just that. Hearing Aspen express some of her worries and hearing Juliet offer words of encouragement reminds me of some of my earliest days here. Both of them changed their lives to include me, which is something I'll always be grateful for. Still, I should give them a chance to spend some time with just each other. Not because I feel unwelcome, but because that hasn't really happened since I arrived. Eventually, there's a moment of silence, followed by the sound of a cup being set on the table. I choose this town to make my entrance.
Ah, there you are.
Good morning, Miho.
Good morning!
I go into the kitchen and grab a piece of toast and an apple, but I don't sit down.
Sleep well.
Sure did. Now that I'm up, though, I think I'm gonna go for a walk.
This early? Well, it was quite nice on my way up here.
Yeah, I used to go for morning walks all the time, but it's been a while.
You couldn't have picked a better day, it seems. Enjoy yourself then, Miho.
I will. See you when I'm back.
For good measure, I grab a couple more slices of toast in a paper towel and put them in one of my deep pockets, along with another apple and some packs of jam. I wave goodbye before I leave and then head back to my room to get dressed before stepping out towards the road. Munching on my breakfast as I walk, I hum a song to myself. Hum a song to myself that I heard on TV. I go in the direction of the ocean, same as usual. My days of aimless wandering really have decreased. I actually have places to go now, and people to see. I doubt without any plans is a luxury. I wonder how Zhongyan chose where to go on their travels. What first brought them to my forest all those years ago? Was it on a whim, or was there something in particular they were searching for? If there was, I hope they found it. I would have loved to ask, would have loved to tell them about Aspen and Juliet. More than anything, though, I wish I could have thanked them. Our time together was short, even by human standards, but it still meant everything to me. Have we... yeah, we've... oh yeah, I remember this. Okay, so Silver and Miho find the sparrow. They meet Silver. Send the sparrow to the sanctuary and Silver runs away. Okay, this is missing. So I'm gonna do the wild ending this route, and I very, very much hope that Silver stays in that one, because in the comfort ending she leaves, and it was kind of sad. I do love Silver's character. Telling Aspen and Julia about Silver and answering all their questions takes a long time. I tell them just about everything, starting with back when we first met, right after I went to the museum. I'll leave out the parts about Silver's history though. Instead, I talk about the time I've spent with her myself, the things I've learned from her. Eventually, Aspen goes home and Juliet goes to bed. They spend the rest of the day watching TV and lazing around. I close my eyes at one point, just intending to take a quick nap, but when I open them, I see they've slept until nightfall once again. I don't mind too much, at least Juliet will be up by now. As I make my way towards Juliet's room, I notice the sound of conversation coming from her office. Freezing with my hand almost on the handle, I listen.
You were right all along.
I know all too well.
Holy shit, it's the other vampire guy. There's the sound of a chair scraping across the wooden floor.
You always did have to learn things the hard way.
A few moments later, I hear the sound of flapping, leathery wings from beyond the door, and of papers being scattered. The flapping sounds quickly grow distant, then disappear entirely. I let out a silent breath as I hear Juliet's footsteps and papers being picked up, then Juliet sitting down in her chair once more.
You can come in now, Miho.
Oh shit. It's always creepy when Juliet does that. I really have lost touch when it comes to sneaking. I open the door as invited to see Juliet study looking the same as ever. The open window and blowing curtains are the only indication of her guest that just left. I lower myself into the empty chair as Juliet strikes a match, relighting the lamp that had been blown out.
How much did you hear?
Just the very end. I was coming to see you. I didn't know you already had company. Sorry for listening in.
It's all right. I don't feel the need to keep anything secret from you. The only reason I haven't introduced you to Ezekiel is for his sake. He isn't fond of meeting people.
It's okay. I know how that feels. What did you mean, though? About him being right?
Juliet laughs, closing her eyes.
Where to begin?
She stands up and closes the window, peering out into the night for a moment before sitting back down.
I told you that Ezekiel was the one who helped me gain my footing in the human world, yes? Well, there's a bit more to it than that. He was the one who turned me into a vampire in the first...
Oh,
I have a story
oops.
not too dissimilar from your own with Zhong Ying, though it began in a very different way.
Oh shit. Juliet lore. I adjust my seat so I'm next to Juliet, lean forward and take her hand, leaning against me. She idly turns her thumb across mine as she stares into the flickering candle, recalling days long past.
I was a human once, of course. Long, long ago. In those times, we didn't know about the underworld. or anything that lay beyond the edges of our sky. Few denizens of the underworld traveled to the overworld back then. Those who did were feared and reviled, but also disbelieved in. Truth turned to hearsay, hearsay turned to legend, and legend turned to fable. Stories told to impart some moral or lesson, not to be believed. That's where today's term fabled was first born. As a human, my life was painful and dull, and cursed by circumstance. I lived, believing and hoping for a better tomorrow that never came. There came a time when I had enough. Enough of agony, of poverty, disappointment. I took myself to the dry edge of the world, beyond which lay nothing but the unknown, and I threw myself off.
Oh shit. I gasp, unable to stop myself. Even though I know she's okay, she turns out okay.
As I fell, I had plenty of time to contemplate the stupidity of my decision, and to dread the fate that was rushing to meet me. How solvable all my problems seemed as I fell away from them. What should have been the end was only more pain. Somehow I survived, but just barely. Broken, as I opened my eyes for what should have been the last time. I saw trees and a purple sky that I thought must be heaven. Then, a figure appeared, and I was certain that I was in hell. Ezekiel offered me a choice. Breathe my last, or accept his gift and live on. From there, the world I had plummeted from, the world that contained all my pain and sorrow, was a minuscule dot, nearly imperceptible above me. That we are having this conversation is proof of what choice I made. In time, my body healed, though not fully.
Juliet taps her cane against the ground to demonstrate.
I had gifts and powers beyond my wildest dreams. I felt I had cheated both life and death. And yet, decades passed. Even the novelty of those gifts eventually wore off. There was a secret, though. A truth I had yet to learn. In the underworld, magic flows freely like air, imbuing those connected to it with power that lasts for generations. Yet being that close to so much magic at all times takes a slow toll even on the bodies of the fabled.
Just a moment.
We age down there, like humans, but at a much slower rate. But for those who live their entire lives in the underworld, no matter how long they may be, there eventually comes an end. Immortality was a lie.
Oh shit.
Not so in the world above, though. So distant from magic and its source, those effects aren't felt, and so immortality was truly attainable. Decades later, when it came time for war, I remained disinterested and unconcerned by its effects. When it came time for peace, I was equally indifferent. For a time. Ezekiel himself had tired of the hedonistic lives our kind led, and departed for the overworld nearly as soon as the dust had settled, determined to maintain a quiet and hermetic existence. He returned to the underworld occasionally, with stories of how things had changed and were changing. Eventually, curiosity got the better of me. I agreed to return to the overworld, just to see. We rode a lift upwards together, a journey that took days back then. And he told me of the island where he had settled down and found peace. He gave me only one piece of advice, which I brushed off as obvious and unnecessary: to not concern myself with the lives and affairs of mortals. We arrived near what would someday become Wellington, and soon went our separate ways again. I had intended to only make a short visit to sate my curiosity. To my surprise, I discovered a world that had moved past much of the violence and suffering that I so hated, and a world that had come to welcome the fabled. I extended my short visit over and over, finding myself unable to leave. Gradually, Ezekiel's advice all but faded from my mind.
Finally, Juliet trails off. I sat with rapt attention the entire time she spoke, and only relaxed my muscles when I noticed how stiffly I'd been sitting. Juliet doesn't have to finish her story, because I can say the last line for her.
Until you met Cosette.
Slowly, she nods. Both sat there quietly, our hands locked together as we contemplate what she just shared. It's hard for me to picture Juliet as anything other than how she is today. Warm, patient, kind. I can't imagine her as someone who would have once been feared and reviled. Yet I can understand the pain, if only to a tiny extent. I can understand what some of those years must have felt like. For all my time alive, I've changed the most in the past few months, by far. But for Juliet, her life has been nothing but change, both the world she came from and the world she exists in now. I also can't help but think about what she said regarding immortality.
So, the fact that you're thinking about going back to the underworld, a place where you get older, does that mean that you want to...
Juliet brings up her other hand up to enclose mine, pressing tightly.
Not for a long, long time. But I can't deny that around every corner, behind every door, looks a painful memory of days gone by. I had never loved anyone before Cosette. Not in so deeply a way as to use that word. But there were still friends whose company I enjoyed, and time that was spent laughing and smiling. They're all gone now, but I'm not. I see their ghost everywhere. But those memories are all that I have left. I'm afraid to forget, just as I'm afraid to remember.
The flames dance on the candle wick, throwing a crazy shadow into the wall. It'll burn itself out again soon. I know I should say something, but I feel paralyzed. Everything I could say feels inadequate. In the face of everything she's told me, do I even have the right to want her to stay? If going back to the underworld is the only way for her to escape the pain, then shouldn't I want to go? Then shouldn't I want her to go? My brain tells me yes, but my heart tells me no. My heart tells me I want her to find another way. My heart tells me I want her to find a different way. Is that wrong with me?
Mia?
The sound of her voice breaks my reverie. The sound of her voice makes my reverie, and she removes her hands from mine. I can see a sparkle of uncertainty in her eyes.
I have something very selfish to ask of you.
What is it?
If I do go, would you come with me?
Oh shit.
What?
Juliet speaks quickly, like she's embarrassed or nervous.
As a fabled, you would be safe in the underworld, unlike a human. But because your magic doesn't come from the same source, you would still be immune to time's flow. I still can't decide. I feel terrible asking you this. And yet I know I would feel more terrible not to. Don't answer me now. Please, take time to think about it.
All I can manage is to nod dumbly. At least your second request is an easy one. Thinking about it is all I'll be able to do.
Thank you.
Right now, though, I want to do anything but think. Standing up, I reach for Juliet and pull her into a hug. And a wordless kiss. When we finally do pull apart, I lean my forehead against her, and she rests herself against me.
I love you.
That's all I can think to say.
I love you too. Thank you.
2 weeks later. Oh shit. This, I think it's probably just because I'm skipping for the scenes I've already read through. But this route feels like it's way shorter than Aspen's. The next couple of weeks go by in relative normalcy. I wake up, go to work, and spend what time I can with Juliet. Aspen comes by occasionally, but for the most part is busy by herself. Neither Juliet nor I talk about that evening in her study or her invitation. We don't have to. It's practically the only thing on my mind. When I walk down Cuba Street or climb Mount Victoria, I have to ask myself if I'm ready to leave it all behind. I want to be with Juliet. That part's easy to decide. Even if we've only been lovers for a few weeks, I've spent enough time with her to know that I want to stay with her. I know I can't promise her forever, but right now there's nothing I want more. So there's a lot I'd be giving up. Aspen and my other friends as well as the first home I've ever had. The memories may be painful for Juliet, but for me they're almost nothing but good. I always thought that I was the kind of person who could move at the drop of a hat without worrying about leaving anything behind. Now I realize that because I've never had anything. Now I've realized that's because I never had anything to lose before. Candlelight from Juliet's trusty lamp flickers as we sit quietly in the dark. There's the occasional noise of her pen scratching or of Juliet typing something on the computer, but it's otherwise silent. I sit with a book open on my lap. It's simple enough for me to read, but I've been on the same page for ages. Pictures of the underworld, both photos and drawings, take up most of the space. Captions going along with them, describing what some of the places are: an enchanted forest, and a town where it never stops raining, a castle that can walk like a person. They all sound and look interesting, but I can't really make myself feel excited about the idea of seeing them. Not the way things are now. The sound of Juliet clasping her laptop catches my attention. I look over to see her rubbing her eyes.
Done already?
For now. I have only this one request to work on, so I can take my time with it.
You look like you could use a nap.
Do I? I think I'm alright. The night's still young, after all. Perhaps a spot of tea would be nice, though.
Juliet reaches for her teapot, but frowns when she picks it up.
Ugh, I'm out. I have to fetch some more from downstairs.
I can get it for you. I could use a snack anyway.
That would be nice. Thank you, Miho.
Sure.
Really, it's just an excuse for me to put the book away. I hop up and go downstairs, leaving Juliet in her study. Despite the time that's passed since we talked about going to the underworld together, I don't feel any closer to deciding what I want to do. My relationship with Juliet only makes me more confused. Sometimes things between us don't feel much different than before we started dating. That has its ups and downs to me. I like that I don't feel pressured to act differently, but I also feel like all the new things, like kissing her and holding her hand. Juliet seems to enjoy those things too, but I wish I wasn't the one starting them all the time. Neither of us are the type of person to be really lovey-dovey, like I've seen on TV, and that's fine. I know she means it when she says she loves me, and that's enough. Besides, both of us are still new to this, and I'd rather it be that way than feel like I need to catch up to her somehow. In the kitchen, I start boiling a pot of water, while I make myself a sandwich. Juliet keeps tea leaves in the kitchen and in her office, so the only thing she needs to bring is the water. I munch on my stack while I wait, while steam starts to rise and the kettle whistles. Aspen got an electric kettle for Juliet that's much faster, but I know Juliet prefers her tea from a regular old teapot. Once it's ready, I grab the kettle and carefully take it back upstairs with me.
Here you... Oh.
With a pen still in her hand, Juliet is slouched across the open book on her desk, fast asleep. She's so cute. God's sake, my heart. quietly as I can, I set the teapot down somewhere safe and tiptoe towards her. It was only downstairs for a few minutes, so she must have fallen asleep right after I left. I'm used to her going to bed right after we spend time together, but it's still early in her usual waking hours. Lately though, I've been hearing the sound of her being awake at all sorts of different times, whether we're hanging out or not. I guess it must be catching up to her. After moving the lamp a bit further away just to be safe, I grab a blanket from nearby and drape it across Juliet's shoulder. She doesn't react, but I can see it rise and fall with her steady breathing. There's something that feels odd about seeing Juliet asleep, and it takes me a moment to realize what it is. I'm not used to seeing her look so relaxed. With her eyes closed and sloppy posture, she doesn't look guarded or elegant or any other word that would usually describe her. Instead, she looks like anyone else when they're asleep. Somehow it's nice to see. I wish she could be this open when she's awake sometimes too. I gently take the pen from her and set it across and set it to the side, doing my best to keep the blanket from sliding off her. Then I lean forward and blow the candle out. Voice I'm looking to play. Good night. I whisper into the darkness before tiptoeing out of the room, spending the last of my time before bed by myself. I'm warm. That's the first thought that comes to my head as I wake up. Not just the normal warmth of my bed and covers, but there's something else, something different. I groggily open my eyes and look around, but nothing appears any different. I roll over on my side, my necklace bumps against my chest. That's when I realize the source. My bead is not what's causing it. Not only has its glow gotten brighter, but when I simply hold my hand near it, I can feel heat emanating. I'm almost afraid to touch it, but when I finally do, it feels as cool as ever on my fingers. Something else is different about it though. A crack runs across it, so thin I have to rub my eyes several times to be able to see it. I could almost mistake it for a hair or something, except I can feel that it's not. When I put my fingertip over the tiny fracture, my skin tingles, almost like a static shock. I can tell, either by instinct or touch, the crack isn't surface level, or caused by some damage. Instead, it comes from within, from something trying to get out. My heart starts to race, obliterating any lingering sleepiness. It still isn't ready, but it's getting closer. Soon it'll be time. Chiono? Yeah, let's go with that. Chiono, Sky Fox. My instincts tell me that's my destiny, even if I don't know what it entails. I have mixed feelings about that, but mostly... I'm excited for what it could mean. It's intimidating, but it's also kind of exciting. I feel like anything could happen. The promise of change is enough to make me want to see what comes next. The predictability of my daily life is comfortable and reassuring, but sometimes I can't help but miss the open possibilities that used to define it. Those days were harder for sure, but it was the struggle that made me appreciate the good times when they happened. Now I still appreciate everything and everyone that I have, but I wouldn't mind a bit more excitement.
It's too early for all this.
Based. Pardon me. I thought there would be a better time later. Still, I know that if I let myself think about these things for too long, I would start spiraling. Instead, I make myself get up and out of bed. For a small relief, the warmth from my bead has dissipated. Like it just wanted me to notice it. It's still bright and still cracked, but at least it isn't uncomfortable. After freshening up, I go downstairs, but I'm surprised to find an empty kitchen. Juliet isn't around, nor her breakfast or any dishes. I don't mind not having food prepared for me, but it's pretty odd. I go back upstairs and knock on her study door, but there's no answer. When I peek inside to see the blanket I put around Juliet neatly draped across her chair, as well as the teapot that I filled for her on the desk. There's no Juliet though. I try her bedroom as well, but it's also empty.
Juliet?
call it her name, but it just echoes around the empty building with no response.
Weird.
I wonder what she's done off to. We'll go back to the kitchen and then her study to confirm one thing. Her parasol is gone. She must have gone out somewhere. I grabbed some ingredients from the fridge and throw a pan onto the stove to make myself breakfast. I've never done it before, but I've seen Juliet cook enough times, so it shouldn't be too hard. I prepared some eggs and toast, the same thing we usually have.
Not too bad.
The steaming meal isn't as tasty as what Juliet makes, but it's edible at least. The eggs are kind of rubbery and the toast is more like slightly warm bread, but I eat it anyway. Either way, I'm proud of myself for making it. As I'm finishing up, I feel something brushing near my side, and it takes me a moment to realize it's my phone. I fish it out to see that I have a message from Juliet. Good morning. Are you awake? Yeah, I made food. Sorry I didn't cook for you. I'm at the mountain. Would you like to join me? Sure, on my way. Typing out each message is slow going, and judging by how long it takes for Juliet to respond, it's not easy for her either. I'm sure Aspen would have done it in half the time. Still, it's a surprise to hear Juliet up on Mount Victoria, especially this sunny hour. I'm sure I'll find out why soon. After cleaning up after myself, I finish opening up the library, and then head over to the mountain myself. It isn't hard to find Juliet up at the top when I get there. Parasol stands out over the heads of the other early morning hikers as she waits for me on a bench.
Morning.
Hello, Miho.
I sit down beside Juliet and she adjusts her parasol to give me some extra shade too.
I woke up and was surprised you weren't around. I didn't think you'd be here of all places.
When I left this morning, I had only intended to drop off the documents I finished preparing last night. But by then, it was nearly sunrise, so I thought to come up here and enjoy that. Sorry for falling asleep so suddenly last night. I appreciate you taking care of me, though.
That's fine. It was nice to be able to do something for you for once. Even if that was just bringing you a blanket.
Not just for once. You bring me joy just by being around.
Aww. I nuzzle against her, not caring that we're in public.
Still, it seemed like a weird time for you to fall asleep.
Yes. I've been having some trouble sleeping lately, I must admit. I catch a few hours here and there when I can.
I noticed. I've been hearing you around the house more often. Do you know why?
This and that. A lot on my mind.
I know what you mean. But hey, you said you finished your research project, right? So you'll be starting a new one now?
Actually, I won't. There haven't been any new requests.
Really? I thought you had tons of them.
I've been working through my backlog for a while, but I just finished the last of them.
Oh.
Julia and her research just go together in my head. I know it's how she spends most of her free time when we're not together. It's hard to picture her without something to work on.
You'll probably get some new ones soon, right?
Perhaps.
There's a tinge of sadness in her voice. Maybe I shouldn't have said that, especially if she's thinking about leaving soon. It would make sense for her to not want to start new ones. It makes sense for her to not want to start new ones. To change the subject, I hop to my feet and stroll over to the tall metal binoculars by the railing. Juliet stands up too and follows me. I feed a couple coins into the device, then press my eyes to it, looking out at the city. It's been a while since I've done this, and so I recognize not a lot more than I did before.
What do you see?
There's the skyport. That one's easy to find. And there's the bell house. Hi, Aspen.
Aw.
I can see some of the gardens from here too. They're really pretty even from this far away.
I'm gonna check something quickly. I'm pretty sure it's not. That may actually be an actual park picture of Wellington. Let's see if it's on Google Images. Yeah, it is. I found the exact picture. What website is it from? Oh, it's on the website of Wellington Airport. Yeah, that's the exact picture. That's cute. I like that. So I know the picture they used of what was it? I don't remember what currency New Zealand uses, but it was a picture of their nose. Had about the same effect. I step away and gesture towards Juliet.
Wanna look?
Juliet hesitates for a moment, but then steps forward and takes my place. I check the view around quickly to pick things out, but Juliet maneuvers it slowly and methodically, like she's inspecting every inch of Wellington.
How about you? What do you see?
She's quiet for a second.
There's Diana's house, where I just dropped off those papers this morning. Close by is a park where she used to take her children to play. They're all grown up now, though. We're lamenting that together. Oh, Heaven Sent is a flower shop that used to sell the most beautiful bouquets. I can just see their roof from here. It's since become a restaurant, but I recognize the bright blue on top. What else? Braylin Primary, just near the library. That's where Cassette went to school. There's also...
Well, we're on a click, the binoculars run out of time, and Juliet moves away from that.
Oops. I suppose that's that. That was quite nice, though. I haven't seen several of those places in many years.
Glad you liked it.
Although she's smiling, I'm not actually sure what she means. Suddenly something suddenly makes sense to me. Something I should have expected, but only now understand. She saw Wellington doesn't exist anymore. One that I could never see, no matter how long I look.
Well, I do believe I should be heading back. I'm sure I'll be itchy from all this sun, even with the shade. Will you be accompanying me?
Oh. Yeah, let's go.
Her abrupt decision to leave feels painfully expected, alongside what I just realised. That's twice in a row now that I managed to make her feel bad by accident, even though I know I didn't do anything wrong. I had planned to tell her about the new changes to my bead, but it doesn't feel like the right time. It would just be another thing to weigh on her mind. I slip my hand onto Juliet's as we walk. Even with a subdued mood, it feels nice. It's nice to feel her so close to me. I hope she feels the same way too. Alright, and with that, yeah, it's about time. I'd love to play more, but it's getting kind of late, and I've got stuff to do before I go to bed. College tomorrow. So with that, I save it. Options. Yeah, here it is. Boom. With that, I shall leave off today's stream here. We'll have to see whether I play this game next week or I do another dev stream. But we'll have to see. Until then, bye.